Hello, welcome to Tarot with Tanya. This is 7 cards for 7 days, and we are looking at the week of Monday, January 13 to Sunday, January 19, 2025. I wrote down 24, but obviously we're in 25 now. So this week is pretty special astrologically. We're beginning with this full moon in Cancer. And there's been this ongoing happening with Pluto and Mars, and I was just listening to Heather Ensworth. Highly recommend her if you like some in-depth, very symbolic astrology. And you know, she and others as well are talking about this. And when Pluto meets another planet and this opposition happens, and it happens 3 times generally, transformations are taking place. Pluto is transforming that energy. That's a way to look at it anyway. And in this case, you know, Mars rules Aries, and Ensworth is taking this back to the age of Aries. So we are talking thousands of years ago. We're in the age of Pisces. I mean, this goes backwards. So we're beginning the age of Aquarius. Some believe that we're in the transition period to that right now. Should be a more humanitarian cycle, more care for the welfare of one another. And the planet Uranus is in Taurus right now still, so that's all about Mother Earth, the energies there, nature, so forth. And Uranus rules the technology, so hopefully we'll be developing more technologies that will help us clean the Earth, keep things more in balance, more sustainable. So it's also this Pluto-Mars opposition encouraging us to look at how we express our masculine energy, that Mars energy. Are we going to be more warlike, competitive? These are things that have been very dominant in the age of the patriarchy. Again, the last couple of cycles have been dominated by that, the Aries and the Pisces. And, you know, what is our responsibility to use that energy in a more cooperative, constructive kind of way? So there's a lot of other stuff going on, which I don't want to go into in depth here, because I could spend an hour talking about this at least. So I encourage you, if you're curious, look more, or, you know, email questions. I'd be happy to answer. And if I don't know, I'll find out. So this week, as I mentioned, we're beginning with that full moon in Cancer. And you know, when we have the full moon, that's the big illumination, and it was gorgeous last night, and I'm sure it'll be gorgeous tonight. Here in the Midwest, it's full at 4:27 p.m. So it'll be a little later on the East Coast, a little earlier on the West Coast, and you know, adjusting for wherever you might be in the world. But that's the culmination of that new moon that we had in Capricorn 2 weeks ago. So now the energies are playing out, and Cancer is very involved with nurturing, self-protection, protection of one's loved ones, you know, in a soft way. It's the shell of the crab and so forth. Likes nurturing and food and being at home. And then we're going to go through Leo, the fiery one, and Virgo, the earthy energy this week, and we'll end on Sunday with the moon in Libra, which will be about the balance, the harmony, the diplomacy, getting along in relationships, balancing things out. All right, so that's our moon activity, and a little bit about Mars. And now on Monday, also on this day of the full moon, we have the sun trining Uranus. That could make us want to do some odd things, some unique, perhaps eccentric kinds of things. It's you know, that Uranus is that quirky lightning bolt, genius / crazy kind of energy. You know, and it's in a good aspect, so we can meet unusual people, have interesting conversations, that kind of thing. Then on Tuesday, the energy shifts, and now we have Venus squaring Jupiter. So that could affect our judgment, not make us the best judges of relationship issues in particular. You want to watch for how you spend your money, watching excesses in general, impulsivity, emotional extremes, and trying to make an effort to be moderate. Venus, of course, is our feminine selves, and Jupiter just expands everything. So be a little bit mindful of how you use that Venus energy when it's squaring Jupiter. Then on Wednesday, we now have the Sun opposing Mars as well, because the Sun is beginning to end in Capricorn. It won't be too long where it's going to be moving into Aquarius. So, with Mars opposing Pluto, Pluto's in, I believe, still the first degree, early degrees of Aquarius. And we have Mars retrograding now, so it is going away from that opposition with Pluto, and it will move back into that opposition. I believe it's in April, but of course when that happens I'll mention it. So with the Sun opposing Mars, now we want to watch arguments, conflicts, especially over trivial matters. Mars can be like that. We don't want to force issues, and we want to stand in our integrity and just kind of let things simmer down, knowing that the Sun it's obviously warm and combustible, and you add Mars and the fire of that, it can get a little intense. So just trying again to stay moderate. It's a busy week, as I mentioned. Friday, we have the Sun sextiling Neptune. Now, this is a really sweet energy. It's very sensitive to others' needs, keenly sensitive. It could make us want to withdraw, be alone, meditate. It's a good energy for regeneration and doing humanitarian work as well as for art. Not the greatest for making, big judgments about things. Might want to hold off on that. It's a very soft and maybe slightly even fuzzy energy. All right, and last but not least, on Saturday the 18th, we have Venus conjunct Saturn and Mercury sextiling it. So this will bring up more serious attitudes toward love. That would be the Saturn and the Venus making that connection, being practically on top of each other. It'll cause us probably to scrutinize our relationship. What's working? What isn't? Are there things that need to change? Is the change even possible? We will also have perhaps a more prudent attitude toward money. That's the Venus, money. And then Saturn, the serious aspect of that, the prudence. And we'll want probably deeper conversations with people, more mature people. And we don't want to waste our time. We want to be disciplined. So as I mentioned, busy week in that regard. So I'm glad we had a little Venus action, because love is certainly in the cards this week. There's a lot of pairing, masculine, feminine kind of energy. And I'm using the Wildwood deck. And I forgot to say earlier, as always, take what resonates for you, leave the rest behind. It is a general reading for the collective. And part of this is developing your own intuitions, kind of watching how the planets affect you, how the cards reflect some of these energies and affect you as well, if they do. So we start with the Five of Vessels ecstasy. And if you remember in the Wildwood, vessels are like water. So it's intuitive, it's psychic. Five connects to the Hierophant, so those are our spiritual lessons. Here you have a female dancer, 1 foot in a pentagram. Pentagram pointing upward, which is the positive expression of that, and there's a magic element to it. So obviously I think it speaks for itself, the ecstasy here. And very emotional feeling. Then on Tuesday we move into one of our two majors, and we have a pair. So, this, like I said, there's some pairing happening here. We start with the Green Man, which would be like the Emperor in, typical decks. So the 4 in the majors, very solid, can be a little imperial, Emperor and all. likes for things to be structured, likes for things to be disciplined, likes to accomplish things. And here, of course, with the green man, there's going to be more harmony with nature. We got the cauldron, the sort of horn thing, the staff, and a very intense looking person who's brewing up something for us, right? So, with this full moon too, Heather Ainsworth also recommended doing a little fire ceremony. So maybe that's something you can work in today or tomorrow. Now, the companion comes up, the green woman, and typically the Empress in most decks. So that 3 of harmony, abundance, nurturing, and again, both of these can have a dark side, a little bit too controlling, maybe a little, that would be more the green man, maybe a little over nurturing or smothering with the green woman. But they can be beautiful, wonderful, supportive energies, getting us in touch with our, divine masculine and feminine within. And I think that's so amplified by what comes next on Thursday of our week, and that is the 2 of vessels or 2 of cups, that water energy again. And this one is about attraction. Sometimes that's called love. And you see the 2 figures here. I assume those are supposed to be masks, and they're into their animal, sacred horned selves. Looks like, obviously a deer or a stag on his part. Hers, I suppose that's supposed to be a doe. But, they're not necessarily genders, they're energies. And there can be agreements, contracts, could be a good day for that sort of thing. But, also it is what it says. There's attraction there as well. So, here's the Venus and Mars energies of the week coming together nicely on our Thursday. Friday, we have the Queen of Bows. Bows in the Wildwood deck are fire energies. And the Queen of Fire has been on a journey. Here we have our rabbit and, this lovely sky, moving clouds, 1 foot lifted here, resting on the rock. So there's a groundedness, and generally with this card, it's the sense of having gone on a journey. I feel like that path that we see back here coming forward indicates that, and maybe the sun is setting here, and that shows a more mature kind of feminine energy with a masculine expression to it as well because of that fire. So this is somebody who's been on a journey, knows what she wants, or what the inner feminine wants, and can be expressive about it, very passionate as well. And then finally, we have 2 more for the weekend. And on Saturday, it would be the 8 of Stones, which is an earth energy, often like a discs kind of energy. And this one is a skilled craftsperson. Can be somebody on the way to becoming more skilled, but I tend to see it as somebody who's already achieved that. Is able to really get beautiful things made, and that doesn't necessarily have to be a physical thing, but it could be arranging a space. 8s are connected to strength. Is it a quality of strength to be able to organize, to craft, to create? Well, I think so. So a good day for maybe doing things around the house, doing some practical things, enjoying a skill that you have, making something. And then our last card of the week. So we began with a 5 and we end with a 5. So that brings in that Hierophant energy. And, again, lessons for the human to learn are connected to the Hierophant. And this is 5 of Arrows, or the air energy. And this one is frustration. And someone dear to me tends to call this card projection. And that makes a lot of sense to me because if it's air, it's mental, it's verbal, it's not physical, it's not even emotional. So we have ideas, thoughts that can get us into a place of frustration, which can then lead us into a place of anger. So the same friend was encouraging, try to recognize frustration before it becomes anger. And I think that's a really good tip. So that could be something that happens that day. And the card that comes after it is 6, and obviously, 6 comes after 5, but this particular 6 is a transition. So the energy passes pretty quickly. It is a minor, and recognize it. It's okay to have it. We feel what we feel. We go through what we go through, and just to let it pass and get back to our equilibrium. All right. So we will end with the Tree Keeper's Oracle card. I think the cards are pretty pleasant for the week. Some nice energies, balancing masculine and feminine, getting some strength from that Emperor and Empress, and being kind of framed with the 2 5s, and just knowing, again, they pass pretty quickly. So what came up first today out of the Tree Keeper's Oracle is the Keeper of Dance, and I think it does fit well. Now is the time to dance, not because this moment is easy or celebratory, but because your divine nature insists that you revel in who you are. And who you are is more glorious, more stunning, and more powerful than you can even imagine. So dance when you feel bountiful. Dance when you feel scarce. Dance for the truth that you are more than this circumstance, this situation. So it's interesting. We start with that 5 dancing. And then we need to carry that over through the week and know if we run into any frustration, perhaps we start dancing again. Dance your grief, your joy, your power. As the Sufi poet Rumi said, dancing is not just getting up painlessly like a leaf blown on the wind. Dancing is when you tear your heart out and rise out of your body to hang suspended between the worlds. Your soul is the green that continually resurrects. It's our green man and woman this week, right? Despite all circumstances. So dance for that truth. Well, thank you so much, beloveds, for being here. If you are new, I'm so grateful, and I'm grateful also equally to those of you who've come back. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. It's totally free. And if you would like a personal reading, if you have questions about that, what that entails, I think it's new for a lot of people, let me know. I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, wishing you the best week possible, beloveds, and I'll see you again in 7 days.